What's up, TBS crew? It's your boy Steph, back with another reaction. This time we have Mr. CreepyPasta. It's my first time camping, but things don't seem right out here. CreepyPasta story time. I might have to shorten that title when I watch this and upload my reaction to it. But it was uploaded June 2nd, 2019. So y'all already know I don't fuck with camping, hiking, none of that shit. And the title alone is what got me. It wasn't even the fact that Mr. CreepyPasta uploaded it, even though I fucks with Mr. CreepyPasta. I fuck with all the CreepyPasta guys. But, yeah, the title is what really drew me in. I know people are going to be bullshitting. The moment I saw camping, I knew they were going to be bullshitting. But it sounds like they going to get got. And I'm going to love that. Oh, man, I'm going to love that. So, we're going to get into this. So, down in the description will be a link to Mr. CreepyPasta's channel, a link to this original video so y'all can see it for yourselves without my commentary. Also will be links to all of my social medias. Get at your boy and see the personal life that I don't upload to YouTube. Without further ado, let's get into it.
2 days ago, I packed for my first camping trip, and even though I've been a little nervous, I was also excited. Camping is in quotations because I know a lot of you won't consider staying in a cabin in the woods to be camping.
Hell no.
I get that. But I'm a city girl. I was born in one of the largest cities in the world, and
little ball of giggles.
I've lived there my entire life.
I guess
the
that's
most time I've spent amongst nature has been picnicking in Central Park.
Guess that's who this is.
So to me, spending 10 days in a secluded cabin in the middle of the woods is basically camping. My boyfriend Ryder, on the other hand, has been camping his entire life.
Bullshit.
We met 2 years ago when he first moved to the city from the Pine Barrens in New Jersey.
Bullshit is all right.
He grew up in the middle of the woods, so for him, city life was the big adjustment. On our first date, he told me all about his life as a piney. I was taken by his adventurous nature and self-assuredness. He first moved to the city for a construction job, and he misses the quiet of the woods.
Quiet?
So I've agreed to a camping trip so I can experience this part of his life that he loves and cherishes.
He gonna get you got.
I really love Ryder, and I want to be able to love this part of his lifestyle. But I have to confess that so far, things haven't been comfortable. I don't mean the bugs or the creaky old mattress, which is fine, not my favorite, but, you know, I'm not some pansy who can't handle it.
Worse than that.
There's just some aspects of this whole camping thing that are seriously unnerving me.
It'd be like that.
To start, the cabin he rented is really seriously remote. We're somewhere in the Catskills, and to be honest, I'm not even really sure exactly where. I let him navigate and drive, and I didn't pay much attention.
Yeah.
We're about 3 hours out from Brooklyn, and that's all I know. The cabin we're staying in is studio style, with a bedroom nook, a small kitchenette, a bathroom, and living space. It's the only cabin for miles. He found it on Airbnb for a really good price. When he told me about it, he said we'd have lots of fun with all the extra privacy, and I felt excited by the twinkle in his eye.
He trying to hit that.
Yes, we did fuck outside last night, in front of the fire he built, while I laid on my back and stared at the night sky, which looked different than I had ever seen it before.
There you go.
I had no idea how many stars you could see with the naked eye. But what I hadn't considered was how eerie the isolation would feel. What's more, I barely get any signal at all. If this post goes through, it'll be because I'm standing on the left side of the front porch, holding my phone up to the sky and being granted a miracle by the cell tower gods. Did I mention there's no Wi-Fi? Ryder likes it that way.
Oh, man.
He loves the whole tiny house off the grid thing. He said we'd have more time to connect without Wi-Fi, but the truth is, he's seemed off since we arrived. The first night was fine. We got here, we unpacked. He built a fire, we roasted some marshmallows and ate dinner. We enjoyed the aforementioned hanky-panky, and then we went to bed early so we could get up to hike the next day.
The hanky-panky.
But then something woke us up in the middle of the night.
Y'all ate marshmallows.
I woke up first, and in my groggy, sleepy state, I shook Ryder awake.
Then he ate you.
He listened with me to what sounded like a hard scraping on the outside of the wall where the porch is. It sounded like someone was dragging a rake along the wood over and over and over again. My heart was pounding in my chest. We were supposed to be completely alone out here. Why would someone be on the porch?
Supposed to be.
I started wishing we had a gun or something to protect us.
What?
I can't help but to imagine the worst, and my mind was racing. I whispered my fears to
That's an
Ryder, who
essential.
hushed me and got out of bed, pulled on his jeans, and crept over to the window. The second he peeked outside, the sound stopped. I was so scared I was holding my breath. Then, to my horror, Ryder opened the front door. Before I could even make a sound to protest, he stepped outside and let the screen door slam behind him. I laid in bed, clutching the blankets to my chest, staring at his silhouette illuminated by the porch light.
There's nothing out here,
He said to me. Well, come back inside, I pleaded, feeling afraid to even have the door open, but Ryder insisted on taking a look around the property. He instructed me to lock the door behind him before he strutted off the porch. I did as I was told, despite being gripped with fear. I thought he'd be back in a minute at most, but instead, I spent the next 20 minutes petrified, straining to listen past the sound of the crickets for any sign of him.
Man,
I was too afraid to look out the window or open the door.
it's too late for him.
I know I sound like a coward, and maybe I am, but please understand, I've never experienced anything like this before in my life. Finally, after the longest 20 minutes of my life, I heard him come up the steps and rap on the door.
It's me.
He said.
Mr.
And although it
CreepyPasta.
sounded like him, there was a strange huskiness to his voice that I didn't recognize. I opened the door and Ryder came back inside, not bothering to glance at me as he headed back to bed. I locked the door and crawled in next to him. Did you see anything?
Obviously not.
He sounded annoyed. What do you think it was?
It's probably just the wind or something.
What?
I laughed then because the notion was so silly. I thought he was certainly joking, but the angry look on his face at the sound of my laugh clearly told me he wasn't.
You worry too fucking much, you know that?
He's never spoken like this to me before, and his words honestly shocked me. I didn't know what to say. I felt deeply wounded by his words. I understand that I might be overreacting because I don't understand the wilderness, but I didn't think I was being that paranoid. I definitely didn't think my fearful reaction would invoke anger in him.
That might not be
I'm
him.
sorry. I tried to apologize, but he rolled over then. Unsure what else to say, I laid down and tried to sleep. He fell asleep rather quickly. I could tell from his deep, even breathing. I tossed and turned for about an hour, my mind reeling, feeling nervous and uncomfortable. Finally, just as I was drifting off, I heard another sound. At first, I thought I was dreaming, but I snapped awake. I realized it was a distant sound that seemed like it was coming from the woods behind our cabin. It took me a minute to recognize it as a voice, repeating the same thing over and over again. I couldn't make out what it was saying, except I think I heard it say the word stop. What I did realize, though, what sent shivers down my spine was the voice sounded eerily like Ryder's. It only happened about 3 times and then vanished. I was absolutely paralyzed. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to wake up Ryder again because I was, 1, afraid of making him angrier, and what if he didn't believe me and thought I was just being paranoid again? And 2, I was honestly really fucking afraid at this point, and the thought of him going outside again filled me with anxious thoughts of harm coming to him. I decided the best thing I could do was lay awake and on guard, listening for danger, and if I heard something concrete, then I could wake Ryder. So I laid awake all night, playing Wi-Fi free games on my phone like solitaire, fighting my tired eyes. At last, the stirrings of dawn began to light the edges of the curtains. I allowed myself to drift off to sleep. I woke up about 3 hours later to an empty cabin. I could see that Ryder had fixed himself a quick breakfast of toast and jam, and the remnant sat outside on the kitchen table. I pulled on my coat and boots, not bothering to change out of my plaid pajamas, and stepped out onto the porch. Ryder wasn't anywhere in sight, but there was a small fire going and some freshly chopped wood. I figured he was out gathering more. I turned to go back inside, and that's when I saw it. The side of the cabin, covered in long, deep, fresh scratch marks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I screamed or cried out, but suddenly I felt hands clutch my shoulders. I turned around ready to fight, but it was only Ryder, who came up behind me. Fuck!
Did it scare you?
He asked, but although his voice sounded teasing, his face was stony and serious. Why didn't you wake me when you saw this? I gestured to the scratch marks.
What?
When I tell you my stomach dropped in that moment, I am not kidding. I felt a chill go through me. I couldn't believe he was acting like the scratch marks were no big deal. It's evidence that someone or something was on our porch last night. Seriously? The scratches, Ryder?
I'm pretty sure those were there when we got here. It's nothing new.
Bullshit.
I walked over to the wall and picked up the freshly chipping wood and pointed to the shavings on the deck. I began to argue with him, but he first dismissed me, and then suddenly, that anger was back. I watched a chilling, dark look come over his face. I've never seen him look at me or anyone that way before. His teeth clenched as he moved his jaw side to side, boring holes into me with his eyes. I shut up.
I'm getting really sick of you trying to ruin this vacation for us. Isn't anything I do good enough for you?
What? I said, totally flabbergasted. I couldn't believe he feels that way. I'm not trying to ruin anything. I'm just scared.
I guess this is what I get for trying to think that I could maybe just for once enjoy something I like with you. But no, it's always got to be about what the city girl likes and wants. You are so fucking high maintenance. You know that?
Cut him off.
Again, I was deeply wounded by his words.
Cut him off,
They
fam.
cut me to the bone. I really can't stress enough that he has never spoken to me like this before. He's always been sensitive and sweet. If he's had these feelings of resentment, I don't know why he's been hiding them from me until now.
One thing I will say, we're pretty much through the story already. There's only like maybe, 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes left. One thing I want to say, well, two things actually. Well, first, you need to cut him off. You need to leave because I feel like that's not Ryder. I feel like that's not the guy that you came with because the guy that you came with had a whole different persona and whole different attitude and behavior as opposed to this guy, Ryder, that you're with now. He's argumentative, combative, aggressive, I'm thinking something else came back. It could be a skinwalker, possibly just looking like Ryder, but has a whole different, demeanor about themselves. And second of all, I know you feel kind of shitty that this is the motherfucker that you let get that ass now, right? I don't know. I had to throw that in there. If you don't leave, you gonna get got by Ryder.
Please, I'm sorry. I swear it's not like that. I'm just really freaked out. Could we at least maybe ride into town for the day?
Town is at least a 35-minute drive from here.
He bellowed, his face turning red with anger. I fell silent, my voice catching in my throat.
I can't take your bullshit anymore. I'm going for a fucking walk.
He hollered and then grabbed the axe he'd been chopping wood with before storming off down a path and into the woods.
Watch him with that
It was
axe.
about 2 hours ago, and now I've been sitting here on the porch waiting for him to come back. I can't reach him by phone because not only is there no service, but he left his in the cabin. What he did take, however, are the keys to his truck.
Oh.
I'm terrified that something could happen to him out there, and I'd have no way to get help. I'm just stranded here, utterly trapped until he returns.
If he
I'm
returns.
racked with anxiety, I can't eat, and I feel sick. I'm writing this in hopes that someone can make sense of all of this for me. Am I overreacting to what's happened here? Am I being a bad girlfriend and ruining the trip? What could have made those scratches on the side of the cabin? They're about 1 inch in width, and there's 4 of them in a line, running down the side of the cabin. It reminds me of claw marks. And I don't think an animal would repeatedly run their claws in the same spot like that. But maybe I'm wrong.
You never know.
I don't know a ton about bears or anything like that. Please help if you can. I feel really scared and I don't know what to do.
It wasn't a
I'm
bear.
going to sit here and just keep trying to get the page to load comments while I wait. I just hope Ryder comes back before nightfall, which is in about 8 hours, and that I can make it up to him and make him feel better. I don't know what I'll do if he's still so angry.
You'll find out what he gonna do with that axe. And why he even took that with him. Yeah, you need to leave.
Hey there kids, it's me, Mr. CreepyPasta, and once again I wanted to thank you for watching or listening to tonight's video, however you managed to find it. I wanted to give a very special thank you to Eric Mary, John, Daniel Paulson, Trace Miles, Jordan Alexander Sanchez, Wayne Milstead, Frederick LaRue, Ken Lando Higuchi, Brianna Van Tyne Jensen, and Nicholas Saeed Al-Yassin. I'm pretty sure I've butchered everyone's names. But still, a huge thank you to you guys, and these guys are some of the higher patrons on my Patreon, which is patreon.com/MrCreepyPasta. If you guys would like to join them, I would highly encourage you to do so because it helps me keep the lights on in my house. Also, anytime you guys listen, it really helps support me. So if you find me here on YouTube at youtube.com/MrCreepyPasta or on the podcast on Apple, on Google Play, or on Spotify, then dear sweet Lord, thank you guys so much. Sweet dreams.
Wow. Yeah, if I were you, I would have kept trying to get some service called 911 or a relative to come and get you, because I don't think that that's Ryder, and if it was Ryder, he on some other shit. So the moment he said, "I'm sick of your bullshit," that was hilarious. Once he said that and he took the axe of all things to take and he went for a walk, you should have went for a walk in the opposite direction. And if you couldn't get anyone on the phone, you should have started walking back to civilization. Honestly. So no one got in the story. That's what I was anticipating to happen. Well, we don't know if Ryder got. But if someone did get got, I was hoping that, you know, they would narrate it. I didn't know she was even in here. What was her name? Little Ball of Giggles? Yeah. Little Ball of Giggles. And it's a story by Tough Love Little Dove. So shouts out to them too. And definitely shouts out to Little Ball of Giggles for the narration. I like how she was doing it. But yeah, man, so yeah, she should have left when she had the chance. You almost got. But no, what I was saying is I was hoping if someone did get got, that Mr. CreepyPasta, before I knew that he had Little Ball of Giggles narrating it for the most part, I was hoping that, you know, they would narrate like a monster attacking one of them or both of them and them screaming and all that. Oh, that would have warmed my heart. Man, I would have loved it. Like, I would have loved that shit. Like, that would have been on point. Just another reason why I don't camp, I don't hike, I don't do anything outdoorsy like that. I'm good with the city life. If I need to get away from it, bruh, I will go to the gym. I will go to the next town or city over and go to a restaurant or some shit like that. Like that's about it, man. You won't catch me doing this shit in a Catskills and fucking Everglades and shit like that. Nah, man. We don't do shit like that. Thank you so much, guys, for watching my video. If you enjoyed the reaction, leave a like, a comment, and share the video. And if you really liked it, subscribe to the channel and tap that bell icon so you will get notified every time your boy Steph drop new content, which I do 7 times a week. That is all I got for y'all this time around. Your boy Steph is out.